That's good.
Talking about it and do something!
Suck my dick earth with that bullshit.
Really?
It's like a gentle hate.
Do we have another benevolent service? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you benevolent with your friends?
My name is Logan Paul, and I think I'm coming out of the flat earth closet.
This is so fucking depressing. I can't be a flat earth person.
Can't have it both ways. You can't have a flat earth and things making sense.
Good evening, YouTube, and welcome to another edition of Gem's Flat Earth Sunday Roast. Tonight, we bring you our biggest show ever! We are packed to the rafters with the very best and worst of humanoid craziness from all across the web. We watch their dumb videos so you don't have to, and this is the result. A full hour of nutty people saying stupid shit, and that's before our panel gets involved. I am your host, Gem, and joining me, as always, are just some of the cool kids from the Debate Flat Earth and More Discord server. They are Cat Earth, Curved, and Kosho. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello.
Good evening.
God.
Hey,
Don't make me
excited
wait
to be
like
here for your
that.
biggest
I thought
show.
something had gone horribly wrong there.
Oh, sorry.
Are you implying that we're gonna say some dumb shit, Jim?
I think I may have implied that. I do apologise. I need my little clips window open. Hang on. Because it's going to fuck up as usual. I'll talk amongst yourselves.
You got some
for a
good
moment.
clips tonight. You've got some
We have, haven't we? We really have.
controversial stuff.
I've
yeah.
crammed them in. I don't know how we're going to get through it all. It is something like 58 and a half minutes of video. So that's kind of a good 10 minutes longer, at least, than we usually have to offer.
I'm just mad somebody took my idea, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, sorry about that, man.
Oh, yes. We've got all sorts coming up, so shall we get on with it? I think we're better, haven't we?
Yeah.
Right. So feel free to make a comment in the chat. If it's interesting or funny, I might even read it out. Or hit the super chat and I'll read it out, regardless of it being interesting or funny. We kick off this week with something sad and serious. Here's a couple of news items coming out of the USA this week.
It's been described as a disturbing contest, COVID parties. Young people attend a party to see who gets infected first or who can survive the virus. It's been reported in Alabama, and now a San Antonio doctor says a young man died after attending a COVID-19 party. The night team's Tiffany Huertas with the case out of Methodist Hospital.
One of the things that was heart-wrenching that he said to his nurse was, I think I made a mistake. And this young man went to a COVID party.
Chief Medical Officer for Methodist Hospital, Dr. Jane Appleby, says the man was just 30 years old.
He didn't really believe. He thought the disease was a hoax. He thought he was young and he was invincible and wouldn't get affected by the disease.
Appleby says lately she's been hearing about COVID-19 parties.
Someone will be diagnosed with the disease and they'll have a party to invite their friends over to see if they can beat the disease.
Appleby says some young patients don't realize how sick they really are.
People will come in initially and they don't look so bad. They don't look really sick. But when you check their oxygen levels and you check their lab tests, they're really sicker than they appear on the surface.
Appleby says if you are not feeling well, have a high fever, cough, and severe muscle aches, you should get help.
My plea to our community, and especially all of our young folks in the community, is to take it seriously. Wear your mask.
Dr. Ken Davis with Krista Santa Rosa also talked about young people and COVID-19 during tonight's briefing. He said young people are not only dying, but they're also experiencing long-term effects like joint pain that could last for months. Tiffany Huertas, KSAT 12 News.
On June 10th, Carson's mom, Carol, took Carson, a 16-year-old girl who was immunocompromised with a history of health issues, including cancer, to a quote-unquote COVID party at her church where more than 100 children without masks were in attendance. Her mom, who was not a doctor, surprise, surprise, guys, then prescribed her daughter azithromycin, I think I'm saying that right, an antibacterial drug with no known benefits for fighting COVID-19 for several days. During that quote-unquote treatment period, Carson developed headaches, sinus pressure, and a cough. A few days later, without talking to her doctor, her mother would later report that her daughter, quote-unquote, looked gray on June 19th. Again, this is 9 days since the party. Lots of time to have actually consulted somebody who knows what the hell they're talking about. So she put Carson on her grandfather's oxygen machine. My God, guys. When that still did nothing to combat the cough, the headaches, the sinus infection, the fever, her mother started giving her hydroxychloroquine, which Donald Trump has often touted without sufficient medical knowledge as a quote-unquote cure for this illness. Carson immediately worsened and was finally taken to medical professionals, where she was admitted to the pediatric ICU. When she couldn't breathe on her own, her mother declined intubation. The hospital began plasma treatment on June 20th, 21st, but the damage to Carson's cardiorespiratory system was too severe, and she was ordered to be intubated on June 22nd. She passed away the next day. Basically, this person, 16, 17 years old, depending on, when you're measuring this, lost their life because their mother was so entrenched in this far-right ideology. And you can go and check her Facebook page. It's all there, that this person would have rather been right about her support for Trump, her opposition to doctors and nurses and science, and her belief in QAnon conspiracy theories, rather than admit, maybe I don't know what the heck I'm talking about.
Okay, so that was COVID parties. Let's hope that's not a trend that's coming out of the USA. Any thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, Jesus. First of all, on a side note, was that lady's name Appleby? The lady with the cat glasses? They kept saying Appleby says, and then they go back to that lady. I'm like, is her name Applebee's?
Oh,
I don't know if you know this. That's a restaurant here.
Yeah, that's kind of an unfortunate name, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit strange. But yeah, no, it's so weird. I mean, it's one thing to joke about the dumb people. It's like a Darwin Award type thing. If you're going to a COVID party, you got something wrong with you. But when you're sending your kids to COVID parties, there's some kind of I don't even know. I mean, there's a special place in hell for people like that, in my opinion. Because, I don't know, if you have your own thoughts about whether it's fake or not real or whatever the case may be, that's one thing. But when you include the safety of your kids, and then you're giving them all this this medication that you heard from Trump, 10 days after you've, purposely given them COVID, it all seems kind of, I don't know, it bothers me.
Maybe they just made it up. I don't know.
I know, I don't want to misreport Trump's involvement in this. And I mean, with the first report there was no indication that he was a QAnon person or any, you know what I mean? He was just some youngster, as far as we know. So, go ahead, Cap.
I said to you just before this, when I saw that, the only thing I took a bit of issues, I'm pretty sure Trump didn't recommend, say that was a cure. He said, if people are on the, dying or whatever, give it a try. There's nothing to lose. There's no harm in it. And he does take it himself, doesn't he? He said he's taken it himself. But
right. I just wanted to report that accurately, because I think that second report, I used that because I needed somebody reading out the report, and he is not a non-biased source on. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know who that guy is, but clearly he had he's a left of center. He has some sort of left of center agenda, let's say.
I mean, it's an interesting thing because do you remember there was that one with a woman who claimed her husband died or something, and claimed and it turned out she was she'd been taking the hydroxychloroquine, whatever it's called, And it turned out she was actually a Democrat supporter lifelong, and it was all sort of made up, and she might have poisoned her husband or something.
Right.
Funny,
well, apparently
he was a Trump supporter, and she hated it.
Well, I mean, I didn't check this woman's Facebook page. I'm going to go with what this guy said. I think in that case, it's probably true, but I don't think it's necessarily, Trump. I don't want this to come across like Trump supporters are going to COVID parties. Do you know what I mean? Or
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because that's not what's happening.
I don't think it's a Trump thing at all. I mean,
no.
It's strictly I wouldn't I put responsibility for what happened to that kid, at least, on that person's parents, 100%. So
let me catch up.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I would say it doesn't matter who recommended those drugs at all. That parent sounds like I don't know. It's a weird case of irresponsibility, because it's like they purposely sent their kid there,
right?
And then didn't do the right things to treat them,
right? And she'd already got a compromised immune system because she was a cancer survivor. So
I don't know if I missed it. What was the logic behind her doing that? Does she actually have any reason, she thought to get herd immunity or something? I can't think why you would.
I don't know, because there was a report I saw when I was looking, and I only looked into this briefly, but there was a report from the church sort of denying certain things, saying they didn't go against regulations. But the report that I saw said, oh, yes, they did, because the recommendations are this, and they didn't do that, and so on and so forth. So I'm not entirely sure what the purpose of this. I think it's been termed as a COVID party, but I'm not sure if that was actually the primary purpose of it. I think it may have just. I don't
right, because it kind of skews the narrative a lot if it was just a party or something. I don't know, because I can't see why you would go to a COVID party.
Well, maybe I'll take a longer look at this and see how badly it was reported. But the fact is that as we know, and we've seen here over the weeks, there are plenty of people who deny, the mainstream understanding of coronavirus for a whole multitude of reasons, from a multitude of backgrounds as well, I think. So it is happening, but whether it's as politically motivated as some of this stuff, I don't know. Anyway, let me catch up on a couple of super chats. They are both from Lael is Fun. The first one says, "This is for Roxanne. Shout out to Ranty." And the second one says, why can't I see the second one? "If it turns into a trend, the trend will die quick." Good point, Lael.
Jesus Christ.
Also, shout out Nick. Shout out Nick. Now you owe Jem 50 quid super chat, so you got to pay up. And shout out Shroomy. I don't know if anyone saw Jed's stream last night, but human woodlouse, that was pretty funny and so.
Yeah, just choose various likely wealthy looking people from the chat and mention them regularly. And hopefully they'll just pay up. Sam Hine. Sam Hine is great. He's great. I love that guy. He's so great.
He's got a great name. I know that.
Well, everything about him is great. Everything.
Yeah. Especially his generosity with the old super chatties. So.
Yes.
No,
all right.
Too obvious? Too much?
Where is Lewis? It's a good question. Where is Lewis? I don't know. Send him a message. Didn't come, but maybe he's busy. Maybe he's working. Maybe he's got better things to do with his life than sit here talking crap about nut jobs.
Maybe he's at a COVID tea party.
Yeah. All right, well, here is yet another Q-tard, this time on a shopping trip, and she's not very happy.
Well, finally, we meet the end of the road. I've been looking forward to this shit all my fucking life. So, Target, I'm not playing any more fucking games. This shit's fucking over. This shit's all fucking over. This shit's fucking over. This shit's 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 over. Yay! This shit's over. Woo! Yay! So this my car. I don't want any of that shit. I don't want any of that shit. Get that shit out of here. Fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it. We don't want any of this anymore. This is over. No. No. Do you? Why? Why? You let everybody else do it. You let everybody else do it. Why I can't do it? Because I'm a blonde white woman? Fucking wearing a fucking $40,000 fucking Rolex? I don't have the fucking right to touch. They drained the swamp. They did everything that Donald Trump was elected to do. You can read about it on Twitter. You can read about it in the news. All of the deep state politicians, all of that stuff has happened. It's done. Okay. So I was hired to be the QAnon spokesperson.
Coming here today?
I cannot. It's a secret. What do you mean? Like I can't give you any classified information. You don't have clearance. You don't have clearance.
Okay.
You don't.
You're a spokesperson,
yeah.
Correct?
For the White House. Yeah.
Okay.
Call Donald Trump and ask him if you don't believe me.
Do you have his phone number?
Do I have his phone number? I'm on the phone with him all the time. I'm fucking wired.
Okay. I think we have enough here. Okay. Can you put down your phone?
No, I'm not going to put down my phone. Like I said, I'm wired. Okay. All of this is being broadcast live.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay, where is it being broadcast?
Everywhere, all over the world.
All over the world?
All over the world on Instagram, yeah. Millions of viewers. Okay. So, say cheese. You're on candid camera.
Okay, thank you.
CBI or 1039?
CBI.
Okay. Melissa, what I'm going to have you spin around and just put your phone down.
What?
First, okay? I need you to put your phone down.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
Great. You're doing it to me because I'm Jewish. You're doing it to me because I'm Jewish.
I have no idea.
You're doing it to me because I'm Jewish. This is a Nazi fucking game. You're doing this to me because I'm Jewish. This is Nazi bullshit.
Well, to coin a phrase, this shit's over.
Oh my God, that's so fun.
Well, now you know why Target is in my top 3 places to meet women.
Oh, why? It's so out of order as well, throwing all those things.
I
on the
know.
floor. It's like Karen, isn't it? It's the Karen move.
I know. I guess you'd have to throw a lot of that away as well, because some of them weren't in packets, and once they've been on the floor, you can't really put them on people's faces, right?
These poor people have got to pick them up as well and put them all back. Got time for that.
Yeah, the scene at the end was actually her husband. It was the guy in the doorway, and he'd kicked her out, and she'd gone back, and he'd called the cops, I think. So.
Oh, he called the cops?
Yeah, he'd called.
Wow. And was that
I always thought
that Shelley?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't Shelley. No.
Oh, okay.
Do you know? I don't even know her name. I should have probably got her name, shouldn't I? But.
I sounded like her.
It's
actually both women sounded like her, to be honest.
Just a Q nutter, you know, some Q nutter.
Wasn't that brilliant when she was like, "Yeah, I work for Donald Trump or something." He's like, "Have you got his number?"
Yeah.
Like, no. If I was him, I would have just pulled out my phone, pretended to call him. Said, "No, he thinks you're full of shit." I just arrested him.
I'm lost here. I didn't understand why they went and arrested her for. Basically stamping out COVID in her area. Is that what she did there?
Yeah, she'll go down as a martyr.
Yeah,
it's funny as well because you know this it's the Q thing and that sort of right wing, and you're not supposed to be for identity politics. Then as soon as she's getting arrested, she's like, "It's because I'm Jewish."
Right. Yeah. She was, I don't know. I mean, I guess she's bonkers, right? Do you think she's?
Yeah.
I
she
guess
thinks she works for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Well, what was that argument? You let everybody else do it.
I don't know what that was about. I know that a lot of them must think they work for Donald Trump now because they've done their oath, right? They've taken their oath of office to be digital soldiers.
Yeah, that's true. Millions of viewers as well.
I'm disappointed you didn't take your oath of office, Kat.
I was thinking about it, but you taught me around, Jim. I'm English. It's silly.
Eric Alluvium says, send the COVID idiots to the ice wall. One-way ticket. Thank you very much for the super chat, Eric. Shall we have one more Q related thingy?
See if we can entice Lewis in with some more Q. He might come in. If he gets annoyed.
It's no more queue after this, Lewis. We are completely
Cueless.
Yeah, completely cueless. Yeah, cueless. I like that. All right, here is another Q-related conspiracy that sprung up this week, sent to me courtesy of our very own Cat Earth. If you are listening and not watching, this is all graphics, but it's not long, so you'll get the idea at the end. Probably I should have done a voiceover there, but it arrived late, so I didn't really have a lot of time. But basically,
this only happened on Friday.
It did.
So, yeah, it's new. Yeah,
So
it's only happened on
tell
Friday.
people the story if they're just listening and not watching, Kat. Just briefly.
Right. So basically, what this video is showing, some people were looking at some overpriced cabinets they'd found on Wayfair, like really overpriced. You saw the sort of prices there, and they're the same as with different names, but they're the same as normal products that you can buy for, say, for example, they had a curtain there for £100 and then one for £10,000. As people started, there is a bit more to this than what's on the video. So as people started to look into this on Reddit, you know, people are like there. They started to find that these were girls that were missing quite recently. Like they had the surnames of people missing, and not only that, there is an extra part. There's some sort of Russian search engine. You can look this on Snopes, the debunker, that tells you a bit more about this. but there's a Russian website that when you put their SKUs in, pictures of girls would come up or something. I haven't had time to look at it.
Oh yeah, I did see that on Snopes. Yeah,
So I read. Did you read all of Snopes?
The stock whatever control units or whatever it's called, SKUs, stock something unit, isn't it? I can't remember,
But they did, even as Snopes admit, that's a bit bizarre. If you have this tag before, you'll find these. But they said if you put loads of numbers in, you get different pictures. I don't think that debunks anything, in my opinion. But so anyway, so the claim is from Wayfair and Snopes, which have debunked it in less than a day, which seems a bit suspicious to me as well. Is that they're industrial grade products? By the way, there's only one. If you check these out, there's only one. Well, you can't anymore. There's Google results still come up, but you can't. The pages are all 404 right now. But there would only be one in stock of all these things, and they claim that they're industrial grade. But I find it hard to believe that a curtain can cost £10,000.
Right.
In my opinion. And
I saw that with the cabinet. They said industrial grade, and I thought, oh yeah, well that makes sense because you do find, things that are built for industry and things like that. Crazy. I used to work in catering, and I used to think you could get a deep fat fryer for your kitchen at home for 30 quid, but you can't get one in a catering kitchen, even a little one, for under £1,000 or something like that. So I thought, yeah, that makes sense. But then I looked at it further. Then they got like pillows and curtains, and they're not going to, the sort of commercial version of those is likely to be cheaper. But in bulk, right? You know what I mean? You're going to buy 10 pillows, but you're only going to pay, £3 each or something like that.
if you see a bed there that was worth like maybe $1,500, and then they have it for $31,000, or what's it made of?
Right. But at the same time, it doesn't. The idea that you could just somehow go on a website and order trafficked children seems absurd beyond belief to me. That just seems.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because somehow you've got to let potential customers know that it's there, right? People aren't just gonna think, "Oh, a really overpriced wardrobe. That must have a child in it."
But was it I don't know about this, but I don't know if it was just visible on the site so openly. Do you know what I mean? You'd have to go through the site map probably, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? To find these things, you can't.
Well, we talked about this.
I don't know.
But if you're going to what I'm saying is, if you're going to let the potential customers know where this secret place is, you might as well just not have the secret place and just let them know of, your available stock, for want of a better phrase.
To play devil's advocate, wouldn't it be even better place to do something nefarious through such a big website where you can traffic, you can filter the money in very easily, you can claim you're selling these, it's actually in some ways, and there is as we've seen recently, stuff going on in high places with, so I don't know.
I don't think that's true though, because if you say you can traffic the money in very easily, but now you've got a big organization with a large accounting department, with a whole load of people that might come across these vast sums of money that are coming in that shouldn't be. So,
do you know what they need to do? They need to find some customers who've actually bought these things. Do you know what I mean? They just go, no, yeah, I bought that.
I think a more likely explanation here might be that their website was hacked, and at this stage they don't want to admit that their website was hacked. And somebody went in and changed all these numbers, and maybe changed the names of these things or whatever. You know what I mean? Who knows?
And they could have lost all sorts of data they don't want to admit to. Right. Yeah.
This came up last night in your server, Jem, and we talked about it for a fair bit. And there was, I think both sides were a little bit too extreme because I was listening and I was trying to comprehend either side, because there was, I think it's wrong to immediately write it off as like like this, like you said, like Snopes covered it in one day. So I think it's like to just come to that conclusion in one day and just write it off. I think it's a little too quick. Like, I mean, it's kind of worth looking into. But at the same time, going to the extremes and thinking that this is what it's being claimed as, and that as Jake on the plane said last night in your server, he said that like, what do you think? Like they're going to order these cabinets, and like they know it's going to be a kid, and then a kid comes to their, to the door with like a ball gag in their mouth or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's like the logistics of the whole thing seems a little far fetched, but it is, like I said, the whole thing is kind of bizarre. There's probably some truth that's like in between both sides. I think there's probably something to it, but maybe it's not as extreme as they're saying. Like Jake he also said it could be like money laundering. Like sometimes this is like a money laundering technique.
Right.
Like, you put something on there for a bunch of money, then you can funnel money into it and, basically clean your money that way. But it could be just like you suggested. It could just be a hack. So
it could be, couldn't it? And I don't know. It's just when Kat said about the Russians, that made me immediately think of hackers, Kat, you said was it surnames that matched or first names that matched?
Well, one of them you saw there was Annabelle, because if they were all things like John Annabelle, it wouldn't be, do you know what I mean? But it was mainly surnames being showed in that video. But there was one Annabelle Wilson, and they had an Annabelle cabinet, if you know what I mean. It's certainly Wayfair need to hire someone to Google stuff before they name it from
Yeah.
But
if it was first names, though, I think I think it would be more surprising if you couldn't find a missing person with a, you know what I mean? Because there's so many people are reported missing, and like 800,000 in the US are reported missing, but.
That's what Snopes
most of
said,
them are found in a few hours, but there's still a lot reported missing, you know what I mean, that would be on lists and things in places, I'm sure.
That was another argument that people like Jake and Scott brought up, was that, with so many names like that, it could just be coincidence that they match up. I suggested that at one point, like if you really want to get to the bottom of this, you'd search for one of the weirder, most obscure names that show up on those Wayfair lists, and just do a search and see if they're missing. Because if you find one who's not on this missing persons list, then I think you're. And then when I was thinking about that, I was like, wait a minute, why would they use their real names? How stupid could you be if you're a kidnapper and you kidnap somebody, use their real name when you're selling them? It seems kind of it seems like you put a target on your head, especially if they have an obscure name. So yeah, the whole thing's a little far fetched in my opinion.
Agreed. So let's get off this horrible subject, shall we?
Yeah, it's not very good. My missus hates this one, and she got really upset when I showed her this.
Yeah, it's not really a place I like to be, this whole idea. But I did think it was a sort of kind of weird conspiracy that's worth giving at least a passing mention to. Right, time to get flat. In our next clip, our very own Kosho takes on well-known Flat Earth lunatic Quantum Eraser in the Flat Earth arena.
Welcome to the arena.
Get your asses in here. Damn ballers, balltards, get on in here. Defend that fairy tale spinning ball space monkey religion. Kosho!
Is that Kosho? What's up, Kosho?
Yeah, I see him.
Mr. QE, what's going on? But I remember the subject. It had to do with pressure differences, and the fact that QE thinks that some division is involved or some kind of.
I never said that shit. No. You quote me where I said there's some division and shit.
Okay. Well, it stems back from the conversation you're having with Negator when you were describing how much bigger
there it is.
1 millimeter is from, I think it was like 0.00 something millimeters, like a very small number, right? And then my response, because I thought it was ridiculous that you guys were arguing that as well, is that the difference between those two numbers is still less than 1 millimeter, which is the whole point.
Dumbass, you're wrong.
Okay.
Here's the argument right here in live stream. He said, I quote, that's like saying 3 times 10 to the 26 meters. That's what that number is, millimeters, by the way, is massively different than 1 millimeter. It's a minuscule difference. That you'd get thrown out of a 3rd grade math class with that shit. You know why? How many friggin' 10 to the 26 meters can fit in that 1 millimeter space that he's talking about? Look at that number right there, son. That
Plus
one with
the different room.
Chillion.
Here's the problem with what you're saying right now. Is
There's
the
no
question you just
problem
asked-
with what I'm saying right
The
now.
question you just asked, how many times does this fit into this number? That's a question that in math you would divide that number by that number to get how
What the
many
fuck?
times
You
it
would
fits into
divide that number by that number. That makes perfect fucking
right.
sense.
And when you do a difference, when you're doing a difference in math, you subtract a number from a number.
You
and so when you subtract the
ass.
number of millimeters that the small one is from 1 millimeter, you get a value that's less than 1 millimeter.
Well,
So just
no
a small
kidding.
distance.
Dude, each of these numbers, look at the furthermore. Are you looking at this right now,
No.
Crayon Muncher?
Posted in the wrong room.
You're not in the arena text, Kiwi.
Son of a bitch.
I know the number. I saw the conversation you had with Negator. It was like a bunch of zeros and a 3.
Is that the one? Shut up. So, he said that's like saying 3 times 10 to the negative 26 meters. That's that number right there that he wrote. Is massively different than 1 millimeter. It's a minuscule difference. Look at, now, follow this. That number right there, if that was the size of that number, if you had widgets, there would be 100 sextillion of those within 1 millimeter. You can't even fathom that number. That's the argument. You're fucking debunked.
And yeah, that's exactly what I just said stands. That you're just did a
Exactly. No,
division.
it doesn't.
You just did a division problem where a subtraction problem was needed.
I didn't do a subtraction. A subtraction problem was needed. What the fuck are you subtracting?
When you tell the difference between two numbers, you subtract them.
These are absolute. Let's get to the one-on-one. Because we're gonna take this to where the original argument was based in. Right? We're gonna take this to sea level tour versus interstellar deep space tour.
I see. Okay, yeah, one's sea level pressure and one's the pressure in space. That's right.
So this is correct. These values are correct.
For those two positions, yeah. For the one that's at sea level on Earth, underneath the atmosphere, and one that's outside the atmosphere in space, yeah.
Yeah, in space. There you go. So everyone knows what I did right here was I busted these numbers down. I took the 10 to the negative 17 tour from scientific notation and put it in decimal notation because it's easier to see that way because we're dealing with torr or pressure values, not distance values, absolute pressure values. That's what I'm talking about. It is the main fucking point.
Okay, well then that's what I'm saying you're getting wrong about a pressure difference. The pressure difference has nothing to do.
Pressure. There's no pressure. Where the fuck do you see pressure in here?
The whole thing is centered around what the pressure is at sea level and what the pressure is in space.
The pressure. Listen, I'm busting the pressure out. Pressure and concentration gradient. They're saying the same thing, you numpty dipshit. Post the ideal gas law and show where I'm fucking wrong.
We just both read it, and we're not talking about the idea of gas law anymore. We're talking about
Yeah,
pressure.
you bet you're not.
Yeah, we already sussed that out, man. We already said that you were
we
saying per
sussed it out
particle.
that you didn't made that shit. What moderator? Moderator,
you that
he
you don't know how
appealed
many
to the
particles
ideal.
exist
Shut
fully.
the fuck up, moderator. I'm not pulling up with this bullshit. This
Okay,
is
well,
just
regardless.
non-sequitur
Regardless,
obfuscation.
what you had said about the like the number of times this
Nonsensical
number goes into this
obfuscation.
other number.
Moderator.
Yeah, QE. Would you stop talking while I'm talking?
No.
Because I didn't talk while you were talking.
Fucking moderator. Shut
All
the
right,
fuck
hang on,
up,
Coach.
moderator.
Yep, hang on. Go ahead, Kiwi.
Moderator, this is simple mathematics. Anyone can, a third grader can evaluate this right now. It's as right as the rain.
Yeah,
You need the moderator to do
hang
that.
on, Coach. All right, but you still said he
That's
was
it.
wrong. You still said he was wrong, right?
No, I didn't. I said
No.
if you say this, then you're wrong. But if you're saying this, then I guess you can say that. And then he said, yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's okay.
Okay.
You could,
You
but that's not.
numpty
That's
dipshit.
not the point, though. The
Yes,
point
it is the point.
No, that's not the point. The point that is
What's the point?
I'm trying to tell you, dude.
Hurry up.
Stop. Open your lips. Anyway, the calculation that you do has nothing to do with division. You don't do how many times this number goes into this number to see what the pressure difference
What
is.
the fuck are you talking about? I didn't do any division.
Yeah, you did. That's
God.
A division problem is how many times this number goes into this number, which is what you did.
It's a fraction. I just put the fraction down here. Just because you said it's division doesn't mean jack shit.
The only reason those numbers are that much, it fits into that number that many times is because you did a division problem.
Oh my
where you
God!
need to do a subtraction problem.
No. I didn't do a division. It's not a division fucking problem.
Okay, well then what's 7.66
Shut up!
million?
It's a fraction.
So
the slash right there means division, but it doesn't help your argument. My argument is it's a massive concentration difference.
So when you do division, as you just stated,
hang
you don't.
on, Coach. Hang on.
Well, no, I haven't got to make my point yet. Because you guys keep talking over me.
I'm the moderator, so I'm asking you a question to address his point. Did you agree with him on what he just finished saying?
That what? That he did? That he didn't? That he actually did do a division problem? After I said that, and he said he didn't, and then he said, "Actually, I did." Yeah, I agree that he did do a division problem.
These are fractions, you fucking dipshit.
What you said is a division problem.
760 over 1. Shut the fuck up. I didn't do a division problem. It's just a fraction.
Okay, well then walk me through how you get to 7.66 billion.
It's right in front of you.
I know it's written there. I'm asking how you got to that number.
Multiplication. You fucking dumbass.
So what you do whenever...
Hey, listen, we're not going to get anywhere with this fucking idiot.
Yeah, you haven't let me make my point yet, man.
Can you post this big on the fucking screen, moderator, that second slide?
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, so if I could finally say what I'm saying after you got to get through your whole thing, okay? When you take those two numbers and you see how many times this...
What two numbers?
Jesus, just hold on, man.
What two numbers? I want you to be highly specific.
I'm trying to tell you. Stop talking
bullshit.
so I can say I'm answering your question.
You fucking tell us specifically what two numbers.
I'm in the middle of telling you.
All right, just let
him get through it. What two numbers specifically?
Hang on, Q. Let him get through what he's gonna say. I think he's gonna say it right now. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, exactly. I am. The two numbers, 10 to the 17 tour. When you're seeing how many times 10 to the 17 tour fits into whatever the 760 tour, you get that value, 7.6 sextillion. Okay, that's a division problem, and you don't do that. That's not needed here. You do a subtraction problem to determine the pressure difference. A pressure difference is denoted by the difference between the two pressures. Okay.
We're not talking about pressures, moderator.
Difference does not mean anything except for subtraction. When you're doing two numbers, when you're comparing two numbers with the difference, you're using subtraction.
Okay.
Yeah, with exponents.
All right. Well,
how do you subtract exponents, you fuckwit?
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and end. Coach, hang on.
Yeah. No. So that.
Sorry, was that I couldn't tell if that's the end of the video. You were just.
That was tough, man. That was tough. I watched it again at one point, but still, dude, it's crazy being in that realm where they're all, because they all have one mind, you know what I mean? So it's like when Huey says the dumbest shit, they all agree with it. Right. And it's just weird. It's weird remembering that none of that shit is reality. Like it's like, because I'm glad that you cut it the way you did, because he double speaks the entire time.
Right.
He's like saying, I'm not talking about pressure.
Right.
This is this pressure. This is this pressure.
Yeah. And then I stuck those together deliberately because it really stood out to me at the time. I thought when he said that it's not about pressure, and I thought, hold on, yes it is. It's totally about pressure. What else is it about if it's not about pressure? So, and then he started going on about concentration gradients or something.
Yeah. Which, like I said, that's not even on their stream, but because I talked to him about that afterward, and I looked it up. It's a biology thing, so it's a biology term that he probably picked up from, his nursing that he did in the military.
Right.
But it's also a subtraction problem. So, without getting into the boring shit about it, none of these people, like, you remember Karen B's video? She had that pressure video. Yeah. And then she did the same mistake. She's described the difference between the pressures. Divided one into the other, got this giant number, and said this is impossible. But it's just not what you do. That's not what difference is. So,
Right. I think that was it. And I think that was pretty obvious. I hope, even to people listening who hadn't listened to the whole thing, because he was saying himself, it's not division, it's multiplication. Well, ultimately that's the same thing, isn't it? If you're just doing it in reverse, right? It's just.
Oh yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Well, it wasn't multiplication either. It's like, again, without getting boring.
Yeah, I know.
Dividing
What he had done.
fraction.
What he had done was clearly a division problem, as you explained, and he was saying, well, no, it's not. It's multiplication, but ultimately that amounts to the same thing. And as you say, difference clearly is a subtraction, obviously.
Yeah, the issue is there'll never be a concession with this, and again, like anybody who was there, like in the Flat Earth Arena, like on their server, who's a flat earther, nobody learned anything from that. Like they're not gonna concede to the fact that he's wrong about that. They're gonna kind of it's sad when you watch it, like learning from his stupidity, basically, because he'll just go on about stupid stuff, and so many people will adapt it to their understanding, and yeah, so nothing changes.
Right. I think the problem you guys are suffering is that your brains are not big enough to comprehend the amount of decimal places QE's working with. Do you know what I mean? You're just too small brains. Sorry.
Well, that's stemmed from because I had brought that up maybe a week earlier because I saw him talking to Negator about something, and that was a conversation him and Negator were having. It was the same misunderstanding or same confusion, except for Negator was describing it in distances, which is another way of doing it. You just talk about distance. You can talk about money. Doesn't matter. When you're talking about the difference between $1 and like 20 zeros, 0.1 dollars, the difference, it may be like a huge, it's like this fits in this many times, but that's irrelevant. It's like the difference is still less than $1. You know what I mean?
Trillions.
Yeah, you owe trillions now.
Shut the fuck up, you crayon munching pretender hat on clown moderator.
How emasculating is that?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's emasculating to be like, it's like to be screaming like you're in the middle of like yelling at somebody like moderator, like waiter.
Mommy.
Yeah. Help me, mummy. Yeah, just like that. It is lame that he keeps doing that as well. Why doesn't he realize how ridiculous he sounds? I mean, they were even sort of ribbing him very gently about it, and he was having a little laugh about it himself. So he's kind of aware that he's doing it, but I don't know. It's weird, I think.
Indeed.
No,
anyway.
It's totally normal behaviour. Got a super chat, Jim.
We have got a super chat, which I'm just trying to get to, from Digital Demonic Davros, who says 14.7 minus 0.000 lots of zeros. 1. Moderator, my brain did a whoopsie. How do I do math? That's right. Yell at it until it agrees. Yeah.
Well, you know what that is? When he's calling the moderator, that's because in Betty's server where he's got full mods and everything, he'll mute somebody and then just start talking over them, not being able to talk. And I think in lieu of being able to do that, he's basically crying for somebody else to do that.
Right, and I noticed I included the bit there where we saw the moderator there was Miggy, whose channel it's on. And, you start saying something, QE interrupts, then goes, moderator! And then Miggy steps in and goes, yeah, go ahead, QE.
Yeah, no, right?
What are you talking about, It's just...
definitely a kangaroo court, one-sided battle in that place.
Yeah, they just let him get away with blue murder, really, don't they? Anyway,
it does show that it's pointless to talk to them, though, because you couldn't have been more polite or calm or as nice as Kosho was being.
Right.
To just explain something very simple, and it was a waste of time. But it was very entertaining, though. So.
Yeah, it was. It was good to listen to. Right, let's get on with another clip. What have we got now? Oh, hang on. I'm on the wrong computer. Right, next from Ranty's Round Table this week came the now standard pre-test performance from fake flatty PhD Dr. John D. Here he is with his sort of Cavendish experiment.
Hey, back again with another show, and this time this is something different. Dr. John D, and I believe you're there with Clive.
So, just to show you, you probably know me from the peer-to-peer observation, and just in the picture you can see Clive standing there. So all of the observations with me, Clive's been involved from the very start as well. So we're both used to building things, being outside. So there's Clive, there's me at the peer-to-peer.
Basically, it's just like a balance bar suspended by a very fine copper wire. At the top of the tube, the pipe, there's a picture of the top mount. Yeah, this is the setup. So the wire's pivoting at the top on a high tensile screw sitting on glass. So there's no wind up of the cable when the balance bar is moved from side to side. So there's no, to reduce the friction right down to the bare minimum. So there's no bias. There's no twist on the cable if the balance bar moves from side to side. And then we're going to try with various different weights and materials to see what we get.
It looks like it's a fish tank. Is it? Is it a big fish tank or something
like that? It's Perspex.
Right, okay.
I bought a couple of sheets of Perspex and then screwed it to 2 bits of timber, and then it's all sealed. And it's actually soil pipe, the tube.
So what we're going to do is place up masses next, just outside the box, but right next to the walls, walls of the box, and we're just going to watch.
Observe to see what happens.
Just observing. Will something happen? What will happen? We're going to use all sorts of different types of materials, steel, lead, sand, and we will try it multiple times, and we're just going to observe
different orientations in the.
Yep, and we're going to have it in a north-south direction and east-west. So this is one of the setups that we've just done, just to trial it, so you can see. You've got the 2 kilogram mass is 4 centimeters away from the large mass. So the large mass is just outside that box. The third person who is doing this with us, he's a should we say a non-flat earther?
He's a baller. Yeah. But he's very, very, very good with the maths. He did some calculations on the setup that you can see in front of you.
He calculated those numbers and said that that mass should move to the side of the container in 1,095 seconds. Just want to make it clear that what we're going to do is observation only. All we're going to do is just look and see what we see. So we are bringing in no past, no bias, nothing. We're just going to watch like human beings. That's it. Really, what we're trying to do is put a YouTube video out there, so when people stumble across these YouTube videos done in classrooms, which show the masses moving really quickly, and it's fundamentally flawed, and it's lying, and it is lying, to people. We want just a nice, simple one out there, so people can see the setup, and then they can make a judgment for themselves when they see this one compared to the ones that are on YouTube at the moment, in classrooms that show masses moving towards one another. We would like to hear from people with a sensible, if there's something about this setup
they don't like
that they think will cause a problem or a difficulty, well, now's the time for them to mention it. So
we have had a comment from Debate Flat Earth and More, that's Gem Panda, so it's a bit of a while back. So I'm the messenger here, so this is what he said. We have experienced Dr. John D asking for critique in advance before. He acted like a child and threw his toys out of the pram. So he can get the criticism after he has messed it up. So I think that's a real bit of sidestepping this, trying to put the hat on this before it actually goes ahead. I think that's a very disingenuous way of actually doing this. To be honest, if they were in this for the truth, no matter what's gone on in the past, this is my personal opinion, and how you may have acted before, I don't even know if that's true, but if you had, at the end of the day, this is the here and the now. This is the biggest experiment that you guys have for proving gravity. In fact, in my opinion, I think it's the only proof that you have for gravity.
Ranty?
Yeah.
Who's that Gem Panda? I've never heard of him.
Never heard of me? How could he say that? I don't know. So that was from Ranty's Roundtable. Ranty's in the chat. Good evening, Ranty, and welcome to you. And the super chat from Spooked, who says, ask QE, what is 0 divided by 0? His brain might malfunction. Good point.
That's old Siri. You do that to Siri and you get a funny answer. So everybody do that. Ask that question to Siri and see what happens. But damn, Gem. Who's Gem Panda? I haven't heard anybody say that in a long time.
I know. That's just awful, isn't it? But he did do that, when he did his peer-to-peer, he went through all this, he was on Globebusters and on here and on there, saying, oh, come and tell, we just want to do it honestly, just come and tell us what's wrong. And people did, like, for instance, Bob the Science Guy did, and I think Mick West did as well. And he just made all these, a series of slanderous videos about them, calling them liars and all sorts of stuff and being completely unreasonable. So, he acted like he did act like a child completely. And he wasn't honest in any way. I personally don't believe he has a PhD because of some really stupid things that I've heard him say that I just don't think, I don't know, I guess PhDs could be really stupid, but that's stupid.
He just smoked loads of weed and watched too much YouTube and
well,
bam,
in his peer-to-peer thing, he was making the argument of what the result should be on an Earth as described, okay? So what he should expect to see if it was on a globe. And he said he was going to go with the advertised, whatever the mainstream radius of 3,915 miles or whatever. But I can't remember exactly what it said. But he made the argument about pictures from NASA although they say it's an oblate spheroid, pictures from NASA don't show this. They show a perfect sphere. So I'm going to go with 3,900 and whatever it is miles, which I just thought was a completely stupid thing to say. And the other stupid thing he said was when he got in this tangle with Bob the Science Guy was that he knew what science was and what the scientific method was because he had been schooled on it by Nathan Oakley. And they'd had this long exchange, you know what I mean? So, and he claims to be a person who is working in the field of science, not just, someone who's got a PhD in art history or something. He's claims to be, his thing is spectrophotometry, he reckons, how light moves through substances.
And he's probably just got a weak...
Sorry, go ahead.
He's probably just got a weak resolve, you know what I mean? Because I remember he said that about Nathan Oakley teaching him science at his PhD, right? I think he probably would, like the same thing you saw with QE, the way he talks at you and demands that you answer this question or this question, so that his framework of questions, basically getting into the scientific method and all this stuff. I think probably that happened to Dr. John D. And he probably just fell for it. Basically, he felt inadequate to answer the questions and realized falsely that he was wrong, and that Nathan, who was probably shouting at him, was right.
Right. What do you think to his actual, well, let's call it an experiment for the sake of argument. Now, to be fair to them, they aren't trying to replicate Cavendish perfectly, because there isn't any sort of torsion on this thing, you know? But what do you reckon to the experiment? Will it work?
Well, I mean, I think they're looking for the wrong things, to be honest. Because they're more worried about the time, where, I mean, it should come into it, but really, you just want to see. First of all, you're right. You need the torsion bar or whatever, the string. It needs to have as little effect, or it should have as little influence as possible to turning the thing. So it should be easily moved, not something that can get in the way. But if they had that, you really just want to see move it all in the right direction. So
well, I think they have got that. I mean, it's all resting on this high tensile screw, which is sitting on a piece of glass, and the piece of glass has been sprayed with WD-40. So, and he said it moved freely. He said when he moved the bar, the pin at the top, or that arrangement at the top, moved with it. So it moved as one thing freely. So
I missed that then.
I think I didn't include all the details because they just took so long to give them. So
with the right densities, I mean, you could witness something, but it's like I said, you want to know what you're looking for before you set out some false, some false goals and then not meet them.
Right.
So.
They also said that they weren't bringing any bias, and then I stuck the two clips together. They were actually a long way apart in the original video, but and then later on he says, well, we want to get this video out there that's different from the ones where we see movement really quickly and they're just basically lying, and you know what I mean? Well, that doesn't sound like someone who isn't biased to me. That sounds like someone who's decided in advance what result he's going to get, and as far as I'm concerned, I doubt his claims, his career claims already. So who knows what he's up to? Although apparently they're going to live stream this with 2 cameras, so we can all see what they're up to. So we'll see.
I wonder if this can be easily replicated, possibly, because. If you do something like this with more dense masses and all that, you can get something that would present exactly what you're looking for, which is gravitation. So.
Well, they're going to use lead for one of the masses at least, and what they're going to do is get scrap lead and melt it down into a big lump. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, won't we? It'll be interesting. But I thought it's worth including. If anyone has a critique of it. Go to Ranty's channel and find Ranty. If you can just say which show it was, and then they can make a comment in the chat of that if they in the comments section of that. If Ranty.
Yeah, Ranty, show your own show. We ain't here.
Yeah. Just tell us which show it was, Rant. Or you can link it. You've got a Rant, so you could link it. No problem. All right, let's have a bit more, shall we?
Wait, shout out Ranty's Christmas video as well. He's got a video coming in Christmas. It's kind of weird. It's not on Christmas.
Any thoughts, Curved, on this Cavendish, by the way? I thought this was maybe more your field.
I haven't really seen too much of it, and I'm not exactly sure of all the fine details that affect this, so I've chosen to remain quiet.
Okay, fair enough. And now for what has become a Sunday roast essential. Here's the Yorkshire pudding of our show. So kneel for the arrival of King John III.
Hail the King.
Yes.
Okay, I want to do a nice little intro here. We are bringing on King John III. We're all excited about this. We're so honored to have him. So let's all give him a great big welcome.
Live the King.
All right.
There he is.
Can you hear us now?
There he is. There we go.
Hello, Greg.
Welcome, welcome.
Hey, how are you all? You good?
Oh, we're better now. Oh my God, so great to have you on our show. Oh my gosh, we've heard so much about you. Now we get to meet you.
It's all true. It's all true. Suffice to say, we had a brilliant day today, nattering on, visual telephone and making all these connections. And we've got all these leading psychics, especially from America, like tarot readers and astrologers and channelers, and they're all voluntarily contacting us and giving us the most amazing readings. It's like everything that I suspected is being confirmed by these tarot readers, astrologers, psychics, channelers, and astro-theological astrology charts, natal something. Yes, brilliant. It's great fun.
This is awesome.
Like Tom Cruise said when he's playing me in The Mummy, he goes, "Oh, great, it's all about me. Okay, let's go."
Wait, so the movie The Mummy was about you?
Yeah, 2017 one, yeah. The Mummy plays Isis, and Isis says, "Hackett, my chosen, Joseph, do you accept?" And then it says, "Of the two, E, you are the hair." And I've got an E in each of my names, Joseph Gregory Hackett. So of the two of us, I was named the hair, which is kind of nice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in about 10 movies.
That's amazing.
They've been leaking it out slowly.
You've got the Dave Mahoney and Lee both came back to me with the saying that the amount of evidence, the factual evidence that you've actually got, documentation, etc., was compelling.
Yeah, it's probably about 600, 1,800, about 3,000 pages.
Yeah.
And
That's
just in written form. No, that's all typed up in court documents and published.
That's right. That was my brief to them, was to say, go and get these documents verified, which they've done. And there's also a very interesting point that you've submitted those documents, not just to Buckingham Palace or to number 10 Downing Street, but to Donald Trump and also to the Vatican.
Yeah.
And nobody has contested it.
That's true, and they've actually acted on it. They've what's it called? It's called estoppel in action. They've actually acted on the documents, so they haven't rebutted them, and they've acted on them. So they've accepted them. They've done cognitive acquiescence. They've accepted them and actively acted on them, which is amazing.
So the Queen abdicated, and the Pope abdicated.
Yeah, the Queen's abdicated. The Pope's abdicated. The royal family stood aside. Prince Charles is using body doubles. Queen Elizabeth II is using body doubles. Prince Philip's not appearing. Prince Andrew's been ousted. Prince Harry voluntarily walked away. And Prince Edward is a convicted pedophile in New Zealand.
So there you have it.
Now it's just a matter of time before you take the throne.
Well, yeah, and I haven't watched it yet, but people are saying that President Donald John Trump was mentioning me last night in the rally. He was saying, "Greg, his genes are good. His genes are great. Greg."
Amazing.
Wow. Yes.
I'd mentioned the extra chromosome I've got. I've got the XYY chromosome, which is shown up as a slow learner when you're younger, lots of pimples, lots of acne, and then you become more intelligent later on. That's a bit like being dyslexic, but uglier. And, so that extra chromosome is mentioned in the Bible, but the XYY chromosome was actually discovered in 1961 when I was born, which is a marker.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So when is this going to be out? Like, what's the timeline on when all of this is going to be out in the open and you inherit the throne officially? Like, when do you think that's going to be What's a timeline on that, you think?
Well, the interesting thing about it is people keep saying to me, "Oh, we're on 3 timelines." Even the military people say that we're on 3 timelines. We're trying to converge them, and what's actually converging them is the love bomb. People get behind this one thing that's going to be the catalyst, the quantum to change it all, and that's realize that the British royal family's fake, put the fulfillment of the prophecy on the throne, and start the 1,000 years of peace.
Beautiful.
That's what's happening. So what's happening now is all the timelines are coming into one. Yeah, everyone's just getting these signs, and you don't have news anymore. You just have signs. The next century is a century of signs. And that's how you get the news, and that from the signs you interpret the news by your heart. Your heart sees the signs, and that's your news. You know what I'm saying?
King, I've always thought that. I always pay attention to signs. Like, I always know, for me at least, whenever I see a hawk, like, and which is, like, probably now it's happening more and more often. They're always flying next to my house, or always flying next to my car or my truck. I always take that as a sign. I always feel that intuitively, that is a sign being shown to me. I'm just figuring out for what. I'm just trying to figure out what the sign is, but I know it's a good sign. The synchronicity.
You don't look like you're doing too bad.
No, I'm doing all right. I'm telling you what, I have a request.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not a song.
I want to visit Buckingham Palace.
Wait, this is all of our requests. Put it in for
I want to go there. I want to visit. I want to see it, man. This is incredible, man. I am very honored to be talking to you. I just want you to know that. It's my honor.
Same.
Great. Okay, well, here's the rule. You got to wear shorts and flip-flops, and you got to bring your flag.
You got it.
I will wear my flag.
Done.
On July the 9th, 2020, Joseph Gregory Hackett signed the final declaration to take control of the throne of the United Kingdom. Mr. John Smith, head of common law courts in England, and 23 independent witnesses signed this historic document. This now means that the Crown has 21 days to contest all of the points laid out in these legal documents. When I asked Greg if the royal family would contest this claim, he answered simply, "She can't, because I proved that she's on the throne illegitimately."
King John the Third.
God, I'm so jealous of you guys, you and Kat. Like, you guys, I'm about to become British, man.
Yeah, man.
Now, so I can.
We're gonna hit you with a free
this is my
timeline
king.
love bomb.
This is my king, man. Wait, I don't get it though. Is his name Greg or is it John?
John will be his kingly name, but his real name is Gregory Hackett.
Oh, Greg. Okay. Well, okay. I don't really get that one, but okay.
I don't think we have King Gregs, do we? Doesn't it have to be a biblical? I don't know what it is.
The king's name. You know the kingly name? Just whatever your name is.
Well, I guess if you're born into royalty, they kind of take that into account, don't they? And right,
King Greg.
I mean, you guys have what? Henrys, Edwards, Johns, Georges, Harrys. You got a Harry. There's no other Harrys, right? So I don't know.
Harry? We had a king.
Well, you
Harry?
got Harry. I mean, Harry could be king. He's not going to be king, but he was saying he could be king. He's not going to change his name when he becomes king, right?
He's not even a prince anymore, mate. I don't know if you're keeping up.
Well, Harry won't become king. Well, he shouldn't be unless something goes wrong.
Well, that's what I mean. If things go wrong, but I'm saying he could be like that's happened before, where somebody who wasn't directly in line.
I guess we would call him. I don't know whether we would call him King Harry. He might. I don't know what would happen.
Probably change his name.
Yeah, he probably
John
would.
or something.
That's hilarious, though. When he was, I don't know who he was talking about, because he's the king of Israel, the king of the world, the king of England, and now he's the mummy. And it's because he's got 3 E's in his names. Like each of his names has an E in it.
Right. He's a funny guy, though, isn't he? I mean, It's just the way people get taken in by him that always surprises me. You know, the guy was saying, oh, he's calling him king, which is kind of odd because you wouldn't call a king anyway, would you? Wouldn't say, hey,
No,
king.
it's Your Highness.
Yeah, you'd say your highness or your royal highness, or a king would be your royal highness, right?
Yeah, your Royal Highness, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, Flash corrected me. Big deal. I guess he's right. Harry's actually called Henry. I guess would be his official name. Yeah.
Okay.
Then that works perfectly. King Henry, you see. We've had those before.
Yeah, there's like 20 of them, right?
But he's given it all up, hasn't he, to live with Meghan Markle in LA or something? I thought he gave up his royal
Canada,
stuff so he could go on. I don't know. I thought he wanted to go on Big Brother or something and live life to the full.
We're not gonna have a royal on Big Brother. Come on.
Yeah, I think he does. His regular life is Big Brother, so I think that's probably the reason why he's getting away from that.
If you remember, Jem, like the royal family did one of the first, because they did that. Do you remember?
A knockout. It's a knockout. You're gonna say, aren't you?
So you never
I don't
know.
We should we attempt to explain it's a knockout to our American cousins?
Oh, I don't know.
Go for it.
It would be a long story, wouldn't it? It's a Knockout was a show that ran for quite a long time in the UK. I guess, I don't know, probably a decade or so, something like that. It used to be on a Friday evening, and it would take place. It was one town pitted against another town, or one city against another city, and each city would have a team that would go in the competition, and they would do various sort of crazy sort of challenges that they have to do, often involving having water thrown at them and stuff like that. But it was essentially, I guess it was sporting, you had to be fit to do it. There was sort of assault coursey type things and that, you know what I mean? It was that kind of a thing. And it took place outside. Somebody's saying, please stop, Jem.
I'm thinking the
so
same.
Anyway, so it would take, and from these these local competitions and heats, they would end up, they would form a national team, and the national team would compete against teams in Europe, and so then it would be like, was it Britain? I think it was Great Britain, wasn't it? I don't think we split the nations for it, did we? I don't think there was like Scotland and Wales and stuff. Anyway, so it'd be Great Britain against France and Germany and, Italy and what have you. And, and anyway, the royal family... God, I should not have started this, should I?
You didn't have to do all that bit.
The royal family, as some sort of charity event, decided to, once this had gone off the TV and kind of been forgotten about for a few years, they said, all right, well, let's do that. And they did like a charity version of it, which is a famous televisual flop, right? You better say something.
There you go.
Get me out of this hole.
Google it.
Get me out of this hole that I've dug myself, cat. Quick.
Yeah, I think without talking about it too much more, it was just hilarious because it's sort of out in the field. It's all these big inflatable wedge things, isn't it? It's all these weird so-called, I can't remember it. Yeah. And it was just quite funny to see the Royals do it, and they really didn't do them any favours.
No, it made them look very sort of just silly, didn't it?
And they were quite grumpy as well, weren't they, if I remember right?
Yeah, they were a bit, they weren't fun at all, were they? And it was organised. It was organised by Prince Edward, I believe, who apparently, according to King John, is now a convicted paedophile in New Zealand.
Yeah, right there. I wouldn't fucking go there if I was him. Yeah. But I wanted to bring it back to King John, aka Greg, aka O Greg, because he had those 23 people witness his I'm gonna call it a coronation, but it's because they got 3 weeks to I guess basically I don't know. I mean, what happens after 3 weeks? Like, they're gonna try to confront him, or he's gonna confront them, or what's up with that?
I think they would just ignore him. Although I don't know. I've said this before. I wouldn't be messing with the royal family, and not in this way.
You don't want to.
I don't know what might happen to you. You know what I mean?
He's so confident, man. And he says the weirdest things too. When what do you say? Like he's got an extra chromosome. He's like, which means I'm like dyslexic but uglier. Like,
Yeah.
Oh shit. Well, okay. But yeah, the extra chromosome is usually a bad thing, I thought.
Well, my computer's just done that thing where it all went bloody black on OBS. So you've now got to keep talking about something till it comes back, which hopefully it will. It did last time.
Well, I don't know if anybody else caught that though, the extra chromosome thing.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that his thinking he's trying to be Jesus or something? I can't remember.
I don't think it's claimed that Jesus had extra chromosome. I don't know if I would even say that.
Because he didn't have a father, right? So didn't get anyway. Yeah, I don't know. So I've just heard that on videos because he didn't have a father, right? Because he would have a missing chromosome or something. I don't know.
I mean, that's a missing chromosome. He said that he has an XYY, whereas most people only have one Y chromosome, right? Like I don't know. It seemed whatever he said. I'm not sure if he even made sense what he was saying, but it seemed like he was talking about Down syndrome almost. Because isn't that when you have an extra chromosome?
Yeah,
I don't think so. I think he's what do you call cisgendered? I think
he did look a little cisgendered to me, to be honest.
You guys are ignoring like the glaring danger of this whole situation. What if? I mean, I'm just taking him at his word that everything he's saying is true. But what if Becky were to muscle her way into the throne and become the queen? What would you do then?
Oh dear.
I would come.
Very real possibility.
I would swear my fealty. I would, yeah. You know me, man. A Queen Becky, a King John. I like this, man. I would become Brit. I would denounce my Americanism. I denounce it right now. I would go up to the Buckingham, whatever the palace is called that you guys got. With my flip flops and my shorts and a flag, whatever flag you want, and I'll be ready to party.
Sounding like an increasingly worse deal having Becky as the Queen and Kosho living here.
Yeah, I don't know. Lael is fun says my favourite is King Kosho. Shout out to Curved, my mentor.
There you go. There you go. Now you know.
Terrible comment, by the way. Apart from the curved mentor bit.
Marty, I noticed from the chat, wants me to talk more about 1980s sporting activities in the UK.
Okay.
I have a feeling. I have a feeling he was being somewhat ironic, perhaps. Anyway, and now, at great risk of completely spoiling everyone's fun, it's time to meet the royal family. Meet the ladies of the Hackett family, King John's mother and sister.
No, it's starting now.
Do we need the roosters up there?
No. Hello, my name's Amanda Pink, nee Hackett. This is my mother, Wendy Hackett, nee Gooms, and it's my sister, Tam Hackett. We're the family of Joseph Gregory Hackett, and because there's been so much misinformation, especially in the last few days, we feel the need to put people's minds at rest and to share the truth. We have no connections at all to royalty. Greg is of Māori heritage. Greg has, I think he believes the things that he says, but they are not based in truth, and he is delusional. So Tam will start by showing some photos of Greg, just so that you can see who he is.
His family?
If you notice the painting in the background, that's been in the family for quite a long time, and I'll just show you a photo taken in front of that in another house that shows Greg and his young family.
Yeah. So that's Greg at the end. That end? I can't.
Yeah, Greg's the one sitting on the arm of the chair.
Had it on the baby.
That's his family. Then there's our mother, who's sitting here as well. She's now 85, and then me and my ex-husband. So I don't know if you can see that very
note
clearly.
the photo and the painting in the background on that photo.
It's the same painting.
It's the
as
same
that
painting
one.
that's there. So that's one as proof. Here's a photo of Greg getting a haircut from our auntie when he was about 24, and when we turn it around, it says on the back, Greg and Jeanette, 1987, Stewart Island, which is where we are now. This is Greg as a young boy.
Very cute.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here's another photo of Greg with the family. That's Greg with his finger up his nose, because he really is hilariously funny. He is a real funny character. And this is another photo of Mum, myself, and Greg.
Soon after Dad died.
Yeah, that would have been 1986.
I'll just show you a photo of my birth certificate,
and there's all
so that you can see that. And it's got Mum's name on it, of course, and Dad's name. And we were born in Warkworth. All four of us kids were born in Warkworth. Mum remembers Greg being born, of course. He wasn't born in a manger. He was born in a hospital.
Cottage hospital.
A cottage hospital.
Mm.
You can speak, Mum.
Yes. Yes.
What would you like to say?
Well, I'm just bamboozled a bit with all of this going on, because what I've been told, or what you have obviously been told, is not what we lived through or lived with Greg. So I don't know where he gets it all from.
He's made up a lot of stories about us.
But he believes it.
But yeah, he does. He believes it. And he believes he is the rightful King of England, but he is the third child, so his elder brother would be the rightful King of England if Greg actually had any rights to the throne, which he doesn't, because we have our whakapapa, which is our ancestry going back to the 16th century, at least on the Māori side. And we have there is no royalty in there at all.
That's proof. That's got Mum's name on it. That's proof that we're part of Ngāi Tahu,
which is our tribe, which means that we are Māori. Greg is Māori.
And that's our English ancestry, going back to the 1600s. Difficult to see. It goes down as far as Mum.
And we have the other side of the family going back to the 1600s as well.
Yes. Yeah, on our father's side. So, if you have any questions, please contact either Tam or I via Facebook
Messenger, not
Facebook
on our walls,
Messenger.
please.
Yes,
because
please don't.
We
Don't involve anybody else, because it's upsetting for some of the family, and they don't
need to deal with Greg's
all this fallout.
Yes.
But please don't be sending
Don't send him money.
No. It's fraud. It's illegal.
He believes it, so he doesn't believe he's conning you out of your money, but he is. He is not the King of England. He is not the Messiah. He is just a delusional adult male.
Couldn't
Anyway,
think of anything
feel
worse.
sorry for you. I'm really sorry that you've given him money, if you have, and if we could stop him, we would, but he's his own person.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye. How do we stop it?
And you're gifting.
That's what they all end with. How do we stop it?
That's kind of the end of King John in a way.
No, it's only the beginning. Send them to the gallows.
I think he said they were all heroin addicts. I'm sure he'd said that. Something like that.
Sure, they look like heroin addict witches. I mean, they're probably going to be the big disdain to his entire reign. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to be in the shadows. They're going to be the ones sending like evil goons to take down the throne and do some spells in the background. But yeah, I don't see this going anywhere, man. These ladies are the delusional ones, if you ask me.
Well, you all would say that, wouldn't you? What struck me was they're scared. You know who they are. Look at the lengths they have gone to
Yeah.
produce all of this false evidence to discredit this man.
Right.
That right there should validate his story.
I should have mentioned earlier,
Shut up,
actually.
chemo.
I put that little I put that little clip on the end of the first clip where they said that he'd been sort of sworn in by the common law courts of England or whatever, but that's some bullshit, you know, another one of these bullshit courts that where someone's appointed themselves, you know, a court of something, you know. So I just thought I should have pointed that out. But yeah, so that was his family, and you know, that was
I
that.
thought they were so great. You know, the way like she's sort of like holding up the pictures. That's Greg getting a haircut. Yeah, see him there, little haircut going on there.
Right.
And, this is him.
That's pretty good Kiwi cat.
Yeah.
Sorry, I love that. And what was the? It was not. It wasn't born in a manger. It was born in a hospital. It was just very. What was that? The Life of Brian. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy.
And he's half Maori as well. Right? So Maori's very big into genealogy. You know, they have oral genealogies that they record. So if their genealogy said he's, you know, related in the way that he's related, I would go with that. I reckon that's probably true, because all people in their family will have, you know, repeated it over the generations, I guess.
I'm not picking sides. But everyone knows I have a thing for witches a little bit. I've always been attracted to witches. And the one on the left is not that bad, if you ask me. So she's okay. You know what I mean? Like I think I could turn her over to King John's side. So maybe I could be an asset to King John. So.
I don't think she's a bit more my age though, Coach, than yours.
She could be, but she's a witch. So she you know, does spells and looks a little bit younger. I don't know, but either way, yeah, I don't know what their deal is, because they seem determined. You know what I mean? Like they're real determined. Like Curve's right. Like they seem like they're really, like they put a lot in there to discredit, you know, King John. And if I was his sisters or his mom, I don't think discrediting this guy is the right thing to do. Like he might be king. You know, even if there's like a small chance, like a snowball chance in hell, still, it's like you don't want to be like the ones who try to thwart him and his family, and then he becomes king, and then you're not gonna be anywhere near the
I hear what you're saying. You know, you could be, you know, you'd be in on all of that, and if you've, I hear what you're saying. You'd want to be able to. It'd be such an easy cash in, wouldn't it? If
sure,
you know.
Well, to be fair to his family, they don't have a choice. I mean, it's, you know, do this or die.
Right. What do you mean? Like if they go against the crown?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. I
guess you're right.
They got to him. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Who fabricated all these documents and the photographs and everything.
Do you worry we could see the King of Ireland maybe pop up one day? The Dodo.
Oh God, yeah, very own King of Ireland, Pete Shea. Yeah. Yeah, you should. You know, if you're ever in a hangout with him, folks, ask him about when he declared himself to be King of Ireland. It's always an entertaining tale, I think, if you've not heard it before.
Is that the one that we laughed him out of the military, of the front gates of the army?
Yeah, he went to some army base, didn't he? Something. Declared himself king.
Oh yeah, good one.
Yeah, I guess it's a thing. It's probably more common than we think. The royal family probably get people claiming that, you know, making claims to the throne on a weekly basis. You know, saying, oh, really, you know, my granny told me that she slept with this, you know, whatever prince, you know what I mean, on a night out, or, you know, she was working at this event and he was there, or, you know what I mean? I bet they get stuff like that all the time. Bet they do. Do you reckon?
And as we've seen, there is a there is a legitimate claim if you've seen that was, but nothing will ever really be done about it. But do you remember that we talked about it, didn't we, before?
Yeah, but
they've
but then I've as I've been looking at this, I've found people say, well, actually, that whatever that documentary was they missed out some important details, and really that guy doesn't have any. They forgot about this bit, and and they question the veracity of it anyway.
And it was made by the BBC and a bunch of Marxists who hate the Queen.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think you see much anti-royal family stuff on the BBC, do you? I don't think you do.
No, they haven't got that brave yet.
No, I don't think they have.
I was gonna say, I don't know how it works in GB, or whatever you guys call it where you live, but isn't the royal family kind of tied to BBC? Isn't that the case? Like, there's BBC's with the government, the royal crown.
Well, no, the BBC is governed by the BBC Charter, essentially. And the Charter sets in place certain rules for how the BBC operates. And I think that is enforced by, well, obviously there's a Governor General, but I think there's also some sort of watchdog type organisation as well that ensures that it adheres to the Charter, because it has to do, its purpose is to, to educate, inform and entertain. So it has to comport with that for a start, and it has to show a certain amount of minority programming to cover minority communities. It has to do all sorts of things. There has to be so much stuff in Welsh and all this sort of thing,
Yeah, but so
none of which it does, by the way.
Would you ever see the BBC like blatantly go against the crown? Because I mean, would that?
I guess the only time really is when they did a Panorama, which is a sort of current affairs documentary program that's on the BBC and is known for very, very, very good reporting. They did an interview with Diana when it was sort of in the height of the sort of the divorce between her and Charles, and she said gave some sort of very personal details about the nature of their relationship and his affairs and things like that. So I guess that was a time when, in a sense, they were going against the royal family, right? Would you agree, Kat?
With everything except for like Panorama are known for doing very good reporting, but yeah.
Well, I mean, they have done. I mean, they freed the Birmingham Six, didn't they? That was a result of a Panorama investigation.
Yeah, I'm being a bit facetious,
right.
But yeah.
But I mean, that's the sort of thing I'm thinking of.
They did used to be like. I mean, BBC used to be the best in the world.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Hey, do you guys know who Maury Povich is?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. A little bit of history on Maury Povich. I remember back in the day, I don't know if it was national or local, but I remember seeing him when I was younger on a program called Panorama.
That's it.
So
that's the one.
You're called Panorama.
Yeah.
And if I think that the shows were affiliated. They were, like Inside Edition, where Bill O'Reilly started, or where I first saw him. And I know they've got Inside Edition in Australia too, I believe. But they were one step away from, who is the father, to be honest with you. Panorama. I gotta side with Kat here.
I think it's the same thing.
Most of what I just said was true. Most of it.
Anyway, so yeah, well, that's kind of how I see it. I don't think the BBC. I imagine there are people within the royal household who can pick up a phone and talk directly to someone high up in the BBC. I imagine that
the royal correspondent, Jim. Yeah,
someone higher up than a royal correspondent. Someone.
Oh yeah.
Someone You know what I mean? Someone who can take something out of a news show if they need to, or whatever. You know,
like George Soros or someone.
Who knows?
Sorry,
who knows? I do think that the royal family do wield power. You know, I think if they wanted to, they can do all sorts of things behind the scenes that we never see, and people in high places will do because they want to please the royal family. You know.
Jeffrey Epstein.
well, whoever.
Well, can I do a callback real quick?
Yeah.
To the video from earlier, because you both just reminded me in two instances of the whole what was it, the cabinet bullshit with the kids. Because last night, like I said, we were talking about this in your server, and somebody had brought up that George Soros was a huge contributor. I don't know, some number of millions of dollars that he contributed to Wayfair for some reason. And then also, was that right?
George
I don't know.
Soros.
I love it though.
He is the root of all evil, I believe, isn't he? I think.
That's a lot of people bring him up. But Jeffrey Epstein was also, like, I guess I don't know the extent. The extent to what I know is there's a picture of that chick who was with Jeffrey Epstein who just got arrested. She's got a picture with the Wayfair CEO. I don't know how that ties together, but people were arguing for that, so I'm not sure.
You've set
maybe you know
off now. You've set him off.
Yeah, man.
Look, his conspiracy cogs are turning in Cat's mind.
I've got a conspiracy. No, okay, I'm not going to say that.
All right, let's move on from this before we go any further into it. I think we should. And now, a blast from the past. Earlier, we saw the great lengths the Flatties are going to establish their worldview with experiments. Well, there really is no need, because, excuse me, in a 1-hour video entitled The Globe Destroyed in 60 Seconds, veteran YouTube nutjob and newbie flatty Von Helton shows us how easy it is to prove that the Earth is flat. Here's Von.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. You know, as most of you are aware, there is a very heated debate in some cases concerning whether the Earth is flat as in a disk, or flat as in an infinite flat plane, or if it is a spinning globe out in mythical space, because, you know, there is still a great number of people that believe in space and the spinning globe rotating on its axis. Alright, what this video will do is not convince you, because some of you out there is not going to be convinced. But for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear, and at least 2 brain cells to rub together, they're going to get this. They're going to understand. Their eyes are going to be open. The scales will be removed from their eyes, and they're going to be, oh my God, it is a flat Earth after all. It's a flat Earth after all. It's a flat Earth. It's a flat Earth after all, because it is a flat Earth. Whether you think it might be a petri dish or an infinite flat plane and stretching in all directions, it's still a flat Earth. And we're going to do that in 60 seconds or less. But anyway, here we are. We're in Caracas, or Canarias. I'm sorry, Canary. We're not in Caracas. We're in Canarias. All right, and as you can see, I've got highlighted in yellow here the Canary Islands off the coast of Morocco. But look at the picture. Look at the picture. When this guy points the camera straight up, the stars do this. They circle overhead. They circle overhead. Now, I know people are going to be like, well, surely he must be at the North Pole or South Pole, because the Earth is on an axis and it's spinning, so the stars would be spinning overhead either at the North Pole or South Pole, right? Right? Well, let's find out where the Canary Islands are, okay? And as you can see, wait a minute. The Canary Islands are at the equator. Well, that's not good. That's not good. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. No, there's nothing wrong. The Canary Islands is at the equator. Well, give or take. It's a little shy of the equator, but it's in the ballpark. All right. That's impossible on a globe. Because the only way you could see stars spinning in a circle is if you're at the North Pole or the South Pole. Because the Earth is supposedly on an axis, spinning on that axis. Which means the stars should be spinning at the North Pole and the South Pole. But the stars are spinning over his head at the equator. Which according to the globe model is impossible. Unless you're going to say that the Earth suddenly tilted at the equator and started spinning that way. Okay? No, that's impossible. That is impossible on the globe model. Because the only way the stars could form a perfect circle over your head is if you're at the North Pole or the South Pole. Now, if he had thrown his camera up straight up and the circle was happening over here, or the circle was happening over here, then that would have been a globe model. But they didn't. The stars rotated perfectly in a circle over his head at the equator. It is a flat-out lie. No pun intended. See what I did there, huh? But yeah, it's a flat-out lie. Those of you that have eyes to see and ears to hear are going to understand this. The scales are going to come off of your eyes, and you're going to be like, oh my God, them crazy flat earthers were right. Yes, we were right all along. Yes, we were right all along. Yes, damn it, we were right all along. Do you get this? I hope some of you are getting this. If at least one person is getting this, I've done my duty. There's a boy right there. Okay? And the stars are spinning perfectly over his head right there. Not up here, where the axis is, but down here at the equator. Okay? Not down here at the South Pole. Not up here at the North Pole. They're spinning here at the equator. So the stars should be circling up here or down here. They shouldn't be circling over here. They shouldn't be circling over here. It's impossible on the globe model. You understand? You get this. Is anybody getting this? Let me see your hands. The stars are not going to form a perfect circle over your head spinning at this point. They're just not. Okay? They're just not. The stars should form a circle over here or down here, not here. So if the stars are circling overhead here, there is only one answer. Only one. And that is we are on a flat earth. I wanted to do this because I need to do this. Because you've allowed people to deceive you. All right. And when you do some research on who came up with the globe model, what do you find? You find an ancient Greek guy whose name escapes me at the moment. That's how much I give a shit, right? But there's this guy, this ancient Greek guy back in perpetuity, and for whatever reason, he rejected the gods, got pissed at them, whatever, and came up with this fucking globe model in response to his hatred of the gods. If you do actual reading. If you go to an actual library, pull down real books off the shelves, you will find out that this guy was a god hater. This ancient Greek guy was a god hater. He hated the religion and the gods of his day. And that's why he came up with this globe model.
I gotta tell you, Jim.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were still playing.
No,
I gotta tell you, when I see guys like this, it was almost like when I saw that clip from the Jimmy Kimmel show that you originally played. We didn't know that was going to be part of Jimmy Kimmel's show. We didn't know he was a real flat earther at the Flat Earth Conference in Dallas.
Right.
And he was asking questions about the Earth and all that. It's those kind of trolls which are like the most effective globers, if you ask me. So this guy, he could be a flat earther. You know, he could be serious. But he's probably the most effective glober because he literally just described. He said it himself, like this is how it would behave if it were a globe, and then describes that it's behaving that way, but then confuses it somehow.
Getting it right, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this is what it would be like if it was a globe. It would be you'd be seeing this, what you're seeing, and not what he's describing. So I don't know. It's
he completely missed the overhead, thinking that the photos clearly you can see the horizon.
Yeah, I mean there's like a statue or something in the photo, so clearly he's not looking straight up. And the Canary Islands are like 2,000 miles from the equator, so you know they're nowhere near the equator.
You see exactly what you'd expect to see.
I wonder if he's ever going to pick that up himself, or if he's going to be like, if he really is oblivious or something. Because it seems like the kind of thing that you'd be like, you have like pie in your head in your face kind of thing. You're like, oh shit, I was just saying oh God, it looks so obvious that what I was describing is actually what's happening. Shit.
I mean, I don't. Go ahead, Curve. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, number one, Tone, everybody recognize, respect this man. He is the most amazing human to have ever lived. There are videos that document his exploits and accomplishments throughout his illustrious life and career. Secondly, I looked up the Canary Islands. They're at like 28 degrees north. That's above the Tropic of Cancer. They're outside of the tropics, much less not near the equator. But despite all that, give the man his due, consider what he says, and maybe he showed something in that video that we didn't catch. Because without having seen what he's talking about, I can't judge him.
Well, it's funny.
Where are the stars spinning directly above his head? He never did that.
But the pictures he was showing, at least when he was talking, were on the horizon. So if those were the pictures taken from the Canary Islands, and that's exactly what you expect.
But it's interesting he's thinking about it, because if he suddenly realized where the stars are, that's one down, and then maybe get a picture of looking up from there, and because that's what, when I was like into the flat Earth thing, that's what it was for me. It was all these star trails, so I wanted to see picture of the equator looking directly up. Do you know what I mean? See what you see, and I found you find loads of pictures.
Right.
And the other thing is thinking about he's got the globe out. Is that the only reason you can have the you don't need to tell you this, but the circular star trails is because you're rotating around. You know what I mean? If you have this dome thing around you with stars,
right,
you're not going to get perfect circles. So maybe he'll catch on there, maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, he did understand the argument, and I think a lot of flat earthers don't really understand it. They haven't seen it visualized, and they don't really get it.
Well, like he's saying, he thinks the stars should be here. He's made the mistake of where the stars are on the photo. Do you know what I mean? Maybe if that clicked in his head, I don't know.
Right, maybe. All right, well, we should push it. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Do you think perhaps there's just a chance that they're lying to us about where the equator is?
I guess that's how he would respond. He would probably do that. Because he's known, if people don't know Von Helton, he has an illustrious internet career of making all sorts of bullshit claims, like he invented the stealth bomber and all sorts of things.
Very instrumental. And can I tell one quick story?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tied to his denial of space. Back a few years ago in his Mandela bullshit days, he woke up one day in the flat Earth, or woke up one day and the Earth was flat. He also noticed that we were in like one part of like the galaxy, like in some part of a spiral arm or something, and then at this time when he shifted, the Earth was in a different part of the galaxy. And I mean, so that's enough details on that. He's on about this, where we are in the spiral arm of the galaxy, at different times, and now today he's denying space. So, what's that tell you? I'll shut up now.
I first came across him in the atheist Christian debate, and he would hang around in that quite a lot. Although he isn't, I don't know if he's not actually quite a Christian. He's like some sort of, I think he calls himself, I think he says he's a pagan sometimes, but he seems, he often argues for a sort of literal Genesis, so I don't know, it's a weird mix. I think he just likes the attention, probably.
Did you see his necklace?
No,
his pendant?
I didn't know.
He had a pentagram on his neck.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
I was looking around his room. I saw he had trophies against his back wall.
Oh, he's a Rush fan as well. I believe he's a Rush fan. So maybe that might have been a Rush thing, that pentagram.
The pentagram's a Rush thing?
Rush, the Canadian rock band.
Yeah. I like Rush. I like Neil Peart. I didn't know pentagrams were the thing. I don't know.
Nah, it's his magic amulet, like Doctor Strange, so he can cast spells.
I went to see Rush on their Exit Stage Left tour in 1982 or something like that.
I'm still mad at Neil Peart. So
Why?
I bought this because I'm a drummer, and when I was younger, I wanted this. He has this like $50 drum solo DVD, and so I thought he was gonna like teach me how to do drum solos, and it's just him talking about his life. Really boring DVD.
Oh man.
Bummer.
Maybe you have to live that life to be able to do that drum solo. So.
And now, how would you guys like a holiday, or should I say vacation in the sun? Most people are up for that, I think. What if you had to spend this vacation with Flat Earth bullshitter and crap singer 007 and the ever-benevolent Roxanne Glenn? Not so keen now, are you? Well, get your credit cards ready, because there's a twist in the tale here. 2 clips to come on this. Here is 007 to tell us more.
What I'm going to say first is the price that's quoted is the introductory offer for the first month. After the first month, the price will increase, not by too much at all, but it will go up a little bit just to cover expenses, because we do anticipate it's going to be quite popular, and people are going to try to take advantage of it. So we need to kind of be careful.
To the Really Woke Retreat. A 6-day all-inclusive retreat with really relaxed classes at sunrise and sunset, energizing every pore of our body. Group excursions and complimentary workshops. Lots of free time to chill out and enjoy holistic treatments available. Through daily practice, we will stimulate the regeneration of our energetic system, clearing and opening and making a way for a stronger and smoother flow of life force through our physical, mental, and emotional bodies. Increasing vitality, inducing balanced serenity, and strengthening our soul connection. Including all tuition, accommodation, delicious daily meals and refreshments with vegan and vegetarian options available. And here's the game changer. All the weed that you can smoke here on site during your visit is free. That's right. All the free weed that you can consume, either smoking or eating, is free of charge to you for the length of your visit.
I want to show you the place so you've got an idea, but you've got to vision it, right? You've got to have the vision. I'm not going to show you if you're not going to have the vision. You've got to see what we're seeing. Look at that observably flat horizon there. That's quite, wow, look at that. Sunrise is up there, by the way. So there we go. There's the first terrace on the left, right? And there's a second terrace on the right. And what you're going to be staying in, pitched up on these terraces, glamping domes. And we're going to glamp it. It's going to be glamping domes, guys. It's a well-known fact, medical, clinical fact, proven, that psychoactive hallucinogenic drugs help cure addictions. Ayahuasca, DMT retreats cure addictions to anything. You cure addiction to anything with that stuff. I want to look into actually becoming a proper retreat where there's ayahuasca therapy, treatment for addictions, grief counseling, severe anxiety. Eventually, I want to help them with more severe, I don't know, psychological problems, personality disorders and stuff. All of us that are involved, that's what we all want to do. We want to help share the truth and fix people. And that's what the Really Woke Retreat is going to be all about. So maybe initially, to get us going, it's going to start off as the Really Woke Weed Retreat. But eventually it's going to be the Really Woke Get Fixed Retreat. Get fixed for anything. I want to be able to fix anybody. It's a big dream, that is. But there we go. That's what we want.
Did you finish the
We
clip?
want to make a healing center. We want to try and heal the world, man.
Are you not watching? Are we in the chat? It's finished now, by the way.
Yeah, he probably started.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said something. I just got sorry. Yeah, it's my bad.
No, I was coughing. So the really woke retreat. What do you reckon?
I'm pissed off, man.
Sign me up.
No, but I don't know if you heard, but I had just let me preface this. I had just seen Tiger King on Netflix earlier this week, and I was so excited just because I was like, dude, like they centered this whole thing around tigers, but it's got the same idea. I was like, this would be great, like the same setup, with the, I don't want to talk about the appeal to it, but you got one dude, you got all these different people, these different women, and anyway, I was like, okay, how can I do this with the flat Earth? And I was like,
you're so excited right now. Calm yourself.
Well, no, I was, but this guy has the same exact idea, and I was going to use the same drive. I was going to say, okay, well, we could just circle it around weed. Just be like, okay, it's around the flat Earth, and we can grow weed, and everyone gets free weed. And he has got the same idea. Everyone gets free weed.
But basically, though, you're camping in someone's back garden for 500 euros. Note that it was euros that it said there.
Yeah, and it's going up. That's the introductory offer. Remember?
I know. And he sits there, well, it'll have to go up because we need to cover expenses. What? What does that mean? What extra expenses have you got if someone books a week later than someone else or something? It didn't really make sense what he was saying, did it?
I got news.
It's very culty.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have shown pictures of the actual place because that made it less appealing when they showed the actual place where you'd be.
Right.
And I was like, no, dude, you should have kept the pictures from before where it's like you're like in the woods or something. Because it just looks like you're like in, like you said, like somebody's backyard in Brazil or something.
Yeah,
I was gonna say it's really culty. Yeah, it's got like all the hallmarks, isn't it? Because it's like all spiritual. Like, come here, give us money.
Right.
If you do anything wrong or whatever, you're just not spiritual enough or whatever the excuse is, and have loads of drugs so you don't think about stuff too much.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying that's their intention, but he is a bit weird. Them bedroom eyes he always gives everyone when he's sort of looking at the camera. So he's a bit weird. I shouldn't be mean, but yeah.
Yeah, and he's talking about sort of having like 10 people staying or something like that. And I don't know, I'd be surprised if that's allowed, I mean, Spain, the Spanish have got rules on stuff like this. You can't just...
Yeah, 10 wreckheads sit in a tent, like taking magic mushrooms, like ayahuasca. That makes you poop yourself, as I said in the chat.
I don't think you could permanently erect tents in a back garden for... Do you know what I mean? You can't just turn your back garden into a campsite permanently, can you? Surely.
Yeah, sounds like a bit of a pipe dream. I don't know. Someone will fall for it.
I think so. Well, anyway, I did say we got a second clip on this, so let's have a look at how they're intending to sort of pay for all this, shall we?
If people want to invest their money and book and get in early and book the first month, if we can get that all booked, pre-booked and paid for, we can absolutely 100% definitely have it all ready for September to launch it, basically. And we've got some really, really excited ideas for how we're going to launch it. Because what we want to do with this place, the best way to get it out there is with the right people. And the right people don't like too much publicity. They don't like everybody knowing what they're doing and where they are. So through various different contacts, we happen to know some of the right people who might be interested in coming down and having complete anonymity and being able to come and chill at our retreat. And well, just watch this space, man. Watch this space, because you've got an opportunity to be a part of it. So let's say people that invest for the first month's introductory offer of £500 sterling. If you invest that, then you'll get, man, I think we'll say that you can come out and stay with us as many times as you like. For a year, because that means that somebody can come and pay 500 quid and have basically a holiday in Tenerife for a year. That's not what's going to happen, right? What we'll do is we'll say that if you invest £500 and you're one of the first bookings for the first month, then we'll set a time period of people that invest in this time period will get the next 4 visits for free. So you can come out 4 times in the same year, or you can come out over the next 4 years, but you'll get 4 visits and you can stay for up to a maximum of 2 weeks. But if you go taking all 4 visits and take an 8-week holiday, then you better make sure that you sort it all out with work and everything, because we're not taking responsibility for you getting the sack, losing your job or anything like that, losing money because you're with us. We're not going to take any responsibility for any of that. It's all on your head. If you book an 8-week holiday with us because you've invested £500 cash, English sterling, in the first 40 places, it's on you. You have to make sure that you're able to do that. Otherwise, if you can't do something like that, I'd say more sensibly, you take 4 years worth of holidays at 2 week. You take 2 week free weed, free food, free drinks holiday for 4 years, man. All you got to do is invest £500 cash now, sterling, English. Get in touch, man. You know the email address, richardavery77@yahoo.com or operationrealness@yahoo.co.uk. If you want to invest in the whole 40 places, if you've got that sort of money and you want to invest in 40 places at £500 sterling each, then you'll get the equivalent stay at our place. And if you can invest that sort of money, I'd imagine that you'd be able to take those sort of holidays. But we will be screening people, and if we want to meet people that invest that sort of money, man, And if you're some sort of crazy nut job and I get a vibe, then we'll just say, no, that's okay. That's okay. You can keep your money. We get a crazy vibe. I'm good at reading people, man. I say it again, the first 40 places at £500 each. Now that's quite a lot of money. It'll be quite a lot of money for us. So yeah, first 40 places, £500 cash, English sterling each. That is 40, 80, 160, 200. Yeah, it's got a lot of money in it. It's a lot of money. 20 grand, 200 grand, but whatever it is, it's a lot of money, but it's all going to go into the business to realize our dream.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm gonna look into it, especially get a few people, get like 3 or 4 people. Oh shit! Yeah, sorry about that. Give people like $2,000, right? I don't think he realizes what he's just offered, because you're gonna be getting free weed the whole time.
I think he kept realizing what he was offered, and then thinking, "Oh shit, I shouldn't have offered that."
Yeah, right.
Because first he says he's here, and then he does the 4 2-week breaks thing, and then realizes that means someone could pay him 500 quid and come and stay for 8 weeks. 8 weeks free weed, 8 weeks food.
Shit. I might go there.
That's like 2 months rent and free food and free weed for $500.
I know.
That's a pretty good deal.
I know. I was thinking about it. I was thinking, could I get away with going there, and just saving money for 2 months? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just pocket a bit of the weed as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how he does show in one of his shots. There is a couple of weed plants there, but I don't know how he's going to supply all this free weed. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot more than, I know in his advert thing, he showed like fields of it, but, none of that.
They can probably get it really cheap, but not that cheap. Not for 8 weeks for 500 quid. Right. Of like some hardcore stoner. Do you know what I mean? You could go through like a cure in half a day. So, no.
And of course, in his advert, he says it's €500, and now it's £500 sterling cash each. So yeah, it all seems.
Well, what's the difference in value?
Oh, I don't know what it is at the moment, but there is a difference.
We're better.
Yeah, the pound is worth more.
We're always better.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean,
he's probably got his culty thing about his vibe at the end. Do you know what I mean? With the if I don't like the vibe, I'm good at reading people.
Yeah, I know.
I get the wrong vibe. You can have your money back. Blatantly wouldn't give you your money back.
No.
Yeah, no way, dude. He's not gonna take. It'll be like a homeless dude with one arm. He'll probably take his money and let him stay there, man. He'll let anybody stay there. He's not gonna not throw away somebody's money.
I think his idea is that he gets to live rent free. I think that's what he's hoping to do. Is they're going to rent the whole place, I think, and then rent out to campers and get all your money back that way, basically.
Yeah, but he needs the seed money. That's why he's desperate. He's desperate for the seed money because I guess if he doesn't have that initially, he can't do any of it at all.
Right.
So.
Right.
Man, he needs people to donate now or to invest now. So he's giving these lucrative deals, which, he's not going to benefit him, but anything to get like that seed money.
Ranty says it's a timeshare lawn.
Yeah,
I mean, you wouldn't want to book 4 years holidays either, would you? In the same place, you know what I mean?
I don't think you can book 4 years holiday, can you? I was going to take 4 years of my holiday. And
yeah, but I mean,
you can't save up 4 years.
Even if you're booking it with him, to do it 2 weeks every year for 4 years.
Said, yeah.
You don't. People aren't going to want to do that, are they? Because you don't know that you're going to. You know what I mean? Your circumstances change, or you might just want to go somewhere else. You know what I mean?
It's just insanity. It's just they just want to sit there, get free cheap weed, get someone else to pay for it. They haven't done the maths because they're flatties.
Right.
He's going to spend all this time growing weed instead of smoking it.
Right.
And everyone he's advertising to is a massive stone. Let's face it. So, I don't know.
I mean, I see why it's a dream. I think that would be a cool, you know what I mean? If you could run a place out there and, you know, have people come to stay and stuff, I think that would be, you know, that would be a cool thing to do, wouldn't it? I don't think he really understands the work that's involved in that. You know what I mean? He was talking about, I could just imagine if you're coming down for breakfast and the smell of toast and lemon and cinnamon and pancakes and people are having a full English and vegetarians are having a vegetarian breakfast. And I was thinking, well, you're just describing hours and hours of preparation to get all this stuff ready for people coming down for breakfast. And you seem to be one of the people who is eating the breakfast, not preparing it, you know, in this imagined scenario that you're telling us about, you know. So
it's mental.
I don't think he's really understood that aspect of it, you know.
This
running
may be
a
the best
bed and
time.
breakfast is you know, hard work.
Was anybody else troubled by what was apparently the first time he's ever considered what 40 times 500 is?
I know. He got totally lost.
2,000, 20,000, 200,000, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of weed.
Yeah. I've wondered about his advert as well that he did for it. I thought, well, why have you put this silly sort of fake American accent on and this sort of fake deep voice? It just sounds silly, I thought. It
sounded something really like a South Park, you know, like a joke advert.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like a joke, doesn't it? And then he's got a couple of pictures of himself, like with his tongue sticking out, looking all crazy, or, you know, in a bar with a spliff hanging out of his mouth. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not exactly good marketing, is it? You know what I mean?
And then they find out he's a flat earther. And then we have to listen to his crappy guitar all night.
Right. Oh, God. Can you imagine? God. Yeah, and I think, from what he was saying, that Roxanne's going out there, apparently. I don't know quite how that's
probably what it's all about, isn't it, really?
I think so, yeah. Another scheme to get in her pants.
Well, Riley will be out there too, then.
You know what, though? This is the best time to do this because, you know, we talked about this, Jim, about, you know, the flat earth. We don't want to call it the flat earth, but it was the ranch, you know, the ranch here in the United States. It's not going to be like this place because this place, it's like you go for 2 weeks, you're paying for 2 weeks. Over here, you don't pay, okay? You can come stay at the ranch, okay? You get free weed because it grows there. Of course, people can come stay and they'll pay for whatever length of time, but, you know, you're coming to be part of the community. Flat Earth, and Globers included. Everybody's included. And
no, they're not.
Yeah, so don't go to this place. Don't go to this place. Come to our place.
Go to Kosho Camp.
Yeah, don't call it Kosher Camp though, because people flat earthers won't go. Flat earthers won't go, but for us insiders, we can call it Kosher Camp.
Ranty says that Roxanne's escaping before she has to go to court.
Yeah, shout out that comment.
Shall we wrap it up then? Oh, go ahead, Kurt.
What about his claim? I found it a bit spurious that ayahuasca, DMT, their effect on treating addiction. I've never heard this before. I'm aware of ibogaine and how effective it is at like resetting something in your brain to where when you come out of it, you're free of like whatever, you know, smoking, whatever, drinking, you know, that it is effective with that. But ibogaine's really weird and it's a very intense thing, but I've never heard that in connection.
Have you not?
And ayahuasca.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
That's been around for like ages. Like a long
I've heard
time.
that before. That
who's the guy? Mike Hancock, is it, or is it Graham Hancock? Is it Graham Hancock? And the guy who was our chief medical drugs person in this country, who got fired for saying cannabis was less dangerous than alcohol or something like that.
Right.
He was a big proponent of looking into this stuff. I don't know, how much that's come along in the decade or whatever, but that was a really big thing, and it wasn't so silly either. It was being taken seriously, sort of thing.
Graham Hancock was cured of weed. Like that's what he was addicted to.
Really?
That was he was addicted to smoking weed, but ayahuasca still though it helps with all sorts of addictions supposedly.
Yeah, but it turns you into Merle.
Yeah.
There's a trade-off.
Lael is fun says, I'm all for the Kosho compound.
Go.
He's turned
there you
into
go.
a compound now.
Well, let me I'm going to say some other proponents. We got Dallas David, who's down. And we got Becky from Australia, who's down. So we got plenty of flat earthers, plenty of globers.
I'll be down. We're not going to do any silly experiments or anything, though, are we? Anything like that? We're just going to hang out and smoke weed.
Yeah, we're going to hang out. We might,
I don't want to do any experiments.
You're free to do whatever you want. If you don't want to be part of the experiments, you don't have to be.
I just
want
to sit around on the internet all day, but
there you go.
Where there's free weed.
Exactly.
All right, let's wrap it up, shall we? Because we've been going for 2 hours and 20 minutes. I said it was going to be a big one, didn't I?
It was very big, yeah.
It was. All right, a great big thank you to everyone who has donated to my PayPal so far. If you can support the show, please follow the links in the description. And please, please, please subscribe to the channel. Join us again next week. Oh, I should say, next week is show number 50. Woo. So I think we're going to do a look back next week at some of our better clips over the years. We'll see. Anyway, join us again next week for more fabulous flatness. In the meantime, if you see something you think should be included in the show, please post a timestamp link in the comments section of this video or join our Discord server. The link is in the description along with channel links for tonight's panel. Our Discord has nearly 2,000 members, and we managed to keep a conversation going virtually 24/7. We welcome members with opposing views, so click the link and join us. Thanks again to tonight's fabulous panel. Thanks to all of you for watching. We'll be back around the same time next week. So until then, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Thanks for watching. Play music.
Talking about it and do something! Suck my dick, Earth, with that bullshit.
Really?
It's like a gentle hate.
Do we have another benevolent star here? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are you benevolent if you're friends with them?
My name is Logan Paul, and I think I'm coming out of the flat earth closet.
This is so fucking depressing. I can't be a flat earth person.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have a flat earth and things making sense.